Hey everyone, welcome back to Band on Band in this week's version of the Isolated podcast, coming at you live from the home studio. We talk to friends of the label, Sonia from the band Weekend Friends. We sit down and have a chat about Great Grandpa. They're really good. Very happy to have them on the record label. Just a side note, this is the second attempt at us recording this podcast. The first time was wonderful. We had a great chat. It was very good. We got to the end and Sonia informed me that she forgot to press record. So here we go. Second time lucky. There's a little laugh about that throughout the podcast. So enjoy that one.
All right.
Sonia.
Hey.
Hello. Welcome to Band on Band. How are you?
I am doing very, very well this Sunday afternoon.
You're doing already better than we were on our practice run.
Yeah, because I'm actually recording this time. Disclaimer to everybody, we definitely went through this, and then I forgot to hit record because I'm not the recording engineer in my band.
We went through this once before, and we recorded our scripts physically, and now we're going to just read it with no tone or anything different.
Very monotone. The record was great.
You are here to talk about Great Grandpa, one of the best bands on BSM.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
I love them.
Wonderful band. Let me know about the first time you heard Great Grandpa. Talk me through that experience. How did you feel? How was it all?
Yeah, so actually Annie sent them along to me. Annie's the bassist in my band, Weekend Friends, for people who don't know who Annie is. And she was just working an overnight and I guess was like scrolling through Twitter and saw that the song, I think Teen Challenge was posted. It was like before Plastic Cough even came out, but that song had been posted on NPR as like a, I think All Songs Considered or like a band to watch or whatever thing. And she was just like, oh my God, this is right up your alley. Like you should check out this. I can't stop playing this song. You should check it out. It's so good. And I was like, I woke up and I was like, okay. And I put it on and I was like, oh man, this is like the best song. And I actually it was from that point on that I was like, they were on my radar and I was really excited about everything they put out since. So
it's a good place for any sort of music discovery. NPR seems to have a good nod, and having them talk about your music from the get-go is a great sign.
Yeah.
I also discovered them on that Plastic Cough record. I think I watched like a KXP session of theirs. I feel like that's where I discover quite a lot of music nowadays. Yeah. I think I remember listening to, it must have been Fade or Faith or one of those two. It was an F, I think. And yeah, just being like genuinely blown away by this sort of like indie folk grunge.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't write for anyone because I would suck.
I hate identifying genres. It's one of my when people ask us like what kind of music we play or like what kind of like if I'm talking about a band I like and they're like what would you say they're like, and I'm like rock music. I have there are guitars. It's so hard for me. I can't articulate that at all.
Yeah. What did you think of 4 Hours when you first heard it?
It was like one of those records I feel like for myself, like I put on and it's like very rare. I like that this will happen. I like a lot of music, but I feel like I take like more of a passive approach to it. I'm like, this record's really good. And I like put it on and whatever, then, kind of play it in the background. But this record was like one of those ones that like immediately got my attention and like pulled me in. And I was like, oh my God, this is by far one of the best fucking records I've heard in a very long time. And even just from the first two songs, I was just very captivated and very into it. And I think it's just such a beautiful record. So
I feel like they've stepped up their game tenfold since Plastic Cough. I really liked that record, but then when I first heard 4 Hours, I couldn't not listen to the whole thing. Like, you have those albums where you just pick one song and you dive in and you check it out and then you come back to the album later. I felt like the moment I had heard from Dark Green Water all the way down to Mostly Here, I couldn't not listen to it. The album just flows so nicely into each song, and it feels like they've picked the track listing perfectly.
Yeah, I absolutely love the record through and through. And it is one of those records that I think, like you said, it's like there's so many records you listen to that like it's more about songs and you like pick and choose. Like even with Plastic Cough, I like love that record, but there's definitely like favorites for me on that one. Where with Four of Arrows, it's one of those records I just can put on, and like I just love listening to start to end. It's more, I think sonically it works so well as a record, and I think that's such a like interesting thing to accomplish, like as a band, and it's just really well written and really well arranged. So
as a fan, what's your favorite song? Have you got one at the moment, and does it change?
I think it changes a lot. Like I think for me, it's like when I really do like a record, I have this thing where if I burn out songs on it, like, or I like will be like, this one's my favorite, and then I'll like repeat it over and over until I'm like,
rinse and repeat.
Yeah, I'm a little bored with that one, and then I'll like move on to my next favorite. And like I think that's just really fun because it just builds up like kind of, I don't know, like the excitement of the record, because you're always finding new moments. I think for this one, the big thing for me is just like there's moments on songs that happen that are just really special. Like the first two tracks, like Dark Green Water and Digger, I think are my actual like were the two like immediate favorites for me. And what I really love about those songs is they kind of tell a story, and there's so much dynamic even just like within the songs themselves. Where myself as a writer, I feel like when I write a song, I generally try to follow like, here's the intro, first verse, chorus, second verse, chorus, bridge, end formula. Yeah. But with this record, I love how the songs are kind of crafted in such a like beautiful, like musical pieces, like kind of way. And they kind of go on a journey and tell a story. Like, I don't know, both like the ending of like a song like Digger, or wait, it might be Dark Green Water, where it comes in with the halftime at the end and it's like really huge suddenly after like this little like acoustic guitar folk break. I just feel like that just was like this incredible like moment where I was like, oh man, this record is going to be one of those records for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the interplay between those two songs as well. Like they feel like they could almost be one song.
Yeah, exactly. And I love it. And I mean, other songs that stand out like are like Bloom is like a very like more like riffy kind of just like like straightforward song in a sense that I really like. And I think the choruses are super catchy. I like the lyrics. Like I feel like they have like a very like positive like uplifting. I was working a really crappy job when I feel like I started listening to this record a lot. And I would like listen to it. Like I had to be there at like 6 a.m. some mornings, and I was allowed at for that first hour I could listen to music, and I would just put this record on. And I feel like songs like Bloom and like Human Condition were like these like mini anthems of like, this sucks, but you're gonna be okay. And I sounds super cheesy to say, but I like definitely I love that. It hit me pretty hard. And then like even just production wise, this record sounds so good. It's like. I think it's just so produced and engineered so beautifully, and songs like Rosalie, like that song production wise is like, or just like how it sounds is so awesome. I love like the instrumentation and like the choice of just like where things sit is really awesome. And
every time I listen through it, like we were saying, like I can't seem to pick one song and stick with it. I have to go from 1 to 11. Like every time I listen to it, be it on like on the record sitting down, or just like walking around with headphones in, or just while I'm working on a computer, it seems like every single time I listen to it, a new element of each song will come out and speak to me, or I'll hear like a different instrumentation that I haven't heard before. And honestly, like the musicianship on this record is outstanding. So good.
Yeah, they're clearly much better musicians than I am. So I think that's a big takeaway again. It's just like, I said it when we did our first little run through, and I will say it again. It is kind of like, if I've taken anything from it, I'm like, wow, well, I should be better at my instruments.
You should go and practice more.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop listening to this record and practice.
Yeah, which is a good takeaway. I like records that make me feel great and also like shit at the same time. It's motivation to, keep working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember last time we were both in the same category, that we had never seen them live, but you were telling an interesting story about that you were going to go and see them live before the global pandemic kicked off.
Yeah.
When will you retell that?
Well, I was supposed to see them live, and I got really excited when they were going to be playing at Great Scott in Boston, which is the closest they were getting to where we live in Portland.
How far is that?
Boston to Portland is about an hour and 40 minutes. It's not too bad, because our drummer Adam lives in Boston, and Annie and I live in Portland, Maine. So it's not too bad. But yeah, I got tickets for all three of us. I was like, we are going to go see this band. I was like, this band is so good. I'm so excited about this record. Like, let's just all go. So I got tickets for the three of us. And then it turned out that we got put on a tour that was going to start the day that show was. So we weren't going to be able to go anyway. So I was like, okay, I'll just give away these tickets to like a friend, like who I know will love it. But then everything got canceled, including our tour and that tour. So thanks, COVID-19.
Thanks for ruining the day again.
But I didn't ask for a refund. I figured I'd just let the venue have it, or I don't know. I feel bad. I'm like, if they do a makeup tour, hopefully I can just go to that, because everybody's hurting.
I'm in the same way that we were hoping that they were going to come over for The Great Escape, which is supposed to be next month, May.
Yeah.
But that didn't materialize. Obviously, that was pulled quite quickly, and we were hoping that they were going to be coming over after South by, but again, that didn't materialize for a number of reasons, and now obviously no one's touring, so
such a bummer.
Who knows when we'll see them, but I've been just basically rinse and repeating the Audio Tree session and the KXP session, so I feel like I've kind of seen them.
Yeah, I mean,
in an intimate putting.
I feel like both those programs, I guess, do a great job. So I feel like that's usually like before I see a band live, I'm like, I'll like type in to see their KEXP or their Audio Tree.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. I think both those spaces are really good as well for featuring up-and-coming artists. There's been quite a few BSM bands or bands that we've been affiliated with, and it's great that those platforms exist for up-and-coming bands, because it's global audience.
I mean, we've had people, when we played out in like our first show in London ever, there was like a crowd of people who were from like Germany or Austria or something, who were like, we saw your Audio Tree and we made a trip to travel out here together to see your band. And then lo and behold, we played like both. I think we played in Austria and in Germany like a few months later. So I was like, sorry. They're like, well, we didn't know if you'd be back out. And I'm like, well, here we are. And they were there as well. But yeah.
So as an artist yourself, what is it about this album that's inspired you? Have you taken away lyrically? Have you taken away creatively? What have you taken away from this?
Yeah, I think a big thing for me is like the arrangements and like the instrumentation. Just kind of like how you can have so much dynamic in one song, and that idea again of like the song structure being more of like a story or a journey versus just kind of tethered to, you know, something more traditional or more, you know, generic, I guess, which is, you know, I like writing pop songs with loud guitars is what I tell people. But with this record, these songs are all just so beautiful and just really well written, and in a way I wouldn't have probably have approached, because I just, again, not good enough. But
there it is.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I feel like, again, it kind of lit a fire under my ass to be like, you should work hard and write songs. And I feel like any great record, that when big ones like this come along for me, it just lights that fire to be like, I just want to go be creative and I just want to write. And so, yeah, so I guess that was my takeaway. I got inspired to just, you know, work harder and be better. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're, we can say that you're in the studio right now, can't we?
Yeah, we are.
So has there been any sort of any takeaways in terms of the production? Have you dived into how the record was produced? Talked to the producer of this record?
For our record or for the Great Grandpa?
For Four of Arrows.
Oh, I have not really done much research on it. I just like I've like just listened to it a lot, and I don't know, it just sounds great. I wish I kind of knew more. I wish there was like a site. I mean, I know like people will credit people, but like I wish there was a site that like tells you like what, like a rig rundown of like what studios use to record records. I feel like that would be really insightful. I mean, there's probably people who are far nerdier who like would love that. I mean, just to kind of get that like behind the scenes, like how was this recorded? Like what did they use to mic this up, or you know, and I think some bands probably that has to exist in some capacity. I would like love something for this record because I think it just sounds so awesome and so good.
I smell a sitcom.
Yeah.
A YouTube viral sitcom of how people recorded records. There must be something like that, you said, but we are probably not inclined enough to discover it.
No, I mean, there's a lot of rig rundown stuff. I feel like people will talk about like their own personal, like this is my amp, this is my pedals, but I feel like it's rarer to get the I guess if you look in, like, I mean, I can pull it up and see what studios they recorded at, and then I could like look into what those studios have. But again, I'm a lazy person. So, and again, I as someone who forgot to press record while doing this podcast originally, am not the person who would even know what any of that stuff is. But I'm sure the rest of my band would be very interested in it.
Well, that's a slightly down but maybe optimistic place to leave it. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast the second time.
Thank you for having me the second time. I'm sorry to again have wasted your time. I didn't feel it, like I felt like this was still good. This is better than the first version for anybody listening.
In the nicest possible way, I hope we don't have you on for a third time.
Yeah, I don't think we will. I'm watching it record. I could see the waveforms.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, mate.
Well, thank you for having me.
And that's that. There's our second chat about Great Grandpa. Thank you very much to Sonia for taking the time out of her busy recording schedule to come and have a chat with us. As you know, we're in isolation and quarantine, so adverts seem a little bit weird to put in this. Not trying to sell anything at the moment directly at you or shove any sort of selling down your throat, but do want to point out just a little fun one that we released a new podcast called Brackets, which is mine and Oscar's longest podcast to date. We sit down and have a chat about bands' discographies and pick the best song in their catalogue. And the first episode is about Reuben. Great band. Already a lot of controversy around this one. A lot of people are angry at us about what we chose, so I don't know if there's a better statement for you to go and have a listen and tell us what you think. So check out Brackets. As always, Band on Band was recorded by me in my bedroom now, rather than anywhere else. And it was edited by my good friend and clean hands enthusiast, Oscar Lydiard. Tune in next week for more fun. Yeah, good. Thanks very much, as always. Stay safe, talk to your mothers, talk to your friends, and clean those damn hands.
Self-imposed.
Bye.